We want to thank you for who you are, for what you've done in our lives, O King of all glory. Lord, we want to thank you even as we begin our meeting this morning that you're going to guide us through, O King of all glory. As we get to our meeting, we ask that your presence will be with us, O Lord. Begin with us, continue with us, O King of all glory. We thank you and we honor you even for giving us this beautiful day, for giving us good health, and for making it happen for us, O God. Guide us through as we begin, and even as we conclude, Lord, we shall be careful to thank you and to honor your holy name. For this we pray, believing and trusting in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Lydia, if I got your name right.
And Mary.
Mary. Thank you so
Yes.
much, Mary, for the powerful prayer and for beginning us with that prayer. So we will have a very short program. That is, we will have introductions, then we will have the remarks from the CEO, that is CHRP Margaret Wu, who's already with us here. Then we will have the RPL overview from the Director of RPL Delivery Unit, Ministry of Education, Mr. Stan Maindi. I'm not sure whether he's already joined. Mr. Maindi, if you're here, kindly, we recognize you. And also we will have the policies, that is the RPL policy, the implementation guidelines, and the practitioner's manual, which will be presented to us by the acting manager exam admin, that's Dr. Leonard Kiragu. Then we will have a plenary session where stakeholders will ask questions and just give their feedback and input on our RPL tools. So having said that, I want to open it up to the stakeholders who want to introduce themselves. Kindly introduce yourselves on the chat. Anyone, we can give a few people to introduce themselves. Maybe our regulators. I can see Mr. Stanley and some of the our introduce yourselves. Thank you. Thank you so much. I can see people are unmuting and they are introducing themselves on the chat. So, Mr. Stanley Maindi. Okay, I think maybe he's in. Okay, Mr. Maindi, you can introduce yourselves kindly.
Thank you, Lauren and members. Good morning. My name is Maindi Stanley. I'm Director of RPL Recognition of Prior Learning Delivery Unit in the State Department for Tibet Ministry of Education. My mandate cuts across, not just within the Ministry of Education, but across the entire lines of ministries that implement recognition of prior learning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Maindi. After the CEO's remarks, which will be in the next 5 minutes, you will be presenting to us an overview of the RPL, and we will give you 10 minutes to do so. So yes, I can see a lot of people have introduced themselves on the chat. We really appreciate. So at this juncture, I want to introduce our CEO, CHRP Margaret Ngu, who will give her opening remarks about RPL. CHRP Margaret Ngu, you're welcome.
Good morning, everyone. You can hear me, Daktari?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Once again, good morning, everyone. We are very delighted and feel honored as HRMPEB for this turnout. I can see our turnout today is quite good. And this means that RPL is actually eliciting a lot of interest, and we are very happy about that. So this is your day. As our HRMPEBers, we have done the policy, the RPL policy, the guidelines, and the practitioners training manual. And therefore, we are presenting them to you so that you can give us your comments, what you think about them, where we can improve. And therefore, this is your day. I just want to thank you so much for turning up for this. Dr. Kiragu and who is our RPL champion, and Mr. Maidi, the director of RPL, will tell us more about RPL. And thereafter, we will be able to answer your questions or your concerns. We'll be able to clarify probably what you don't understand. And we are here for you. And therefore, all I can say is you are very much welcome, and thank you so much for turning up. Back to Seka.
Thank you so much, CEO, for your remarks. And I can see we are almost at 110 people, which is a very good turnout, and we hope to get more. So at this juncture, I want to give it to Mr. Maindi, who is again the director of RPL Delivery Unit at the State Department of Public Service. Mr. Maindi, you are welcome. It's the State Department of Tibet. Sorry for that. So, Mr. Maindi, you can introduce yourself, give a background, and kindly, Bradley, you can help share the presentation by Mr. Maindi. Karibu sana, Mr. Maindi.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair, Master of Ceremony, Mistress of Ceremony, Lorraine Aseka, and CEO HRMPEB, members of the board, HRMPEB, and HR professionals present, regulatory bodies, and all the stakeholders. Good morning once again. My name is Maindi Stanley, Director RPL, and I'm happy and say I'm privileged to be in this meeting. Allow me to start by just congratulating HRMPEB for the good work done. I think I have been involved in RPL policy making processes, and this one has been a standout process. The manner that the policy was developed, it has taken years for us to reach here today. And I think today could be the third validation workshop we are having. And I'm happy to note that the number is very, very high, very impressive compared to the previous sessions. We are over 110 in this meeting. That tells us of the growing interest in the implementation of RPL in the country. So mine is brief. I think I've brief. As they shared the presentation, I would like just to say we are here based on a philosophy that learning takes place everywhere, all the time. We are learning something. Some of the learning is done outside the formal school system. And then they say that all forms of learning matter. It's just upon us to package it and assign it meaning, assign it a document so that it can be useful. That's why we are here. There is learning even in the HR profession that takes outside the formal school system. People will learn in the workplace. They acquire knowledge and skills and competences that are useful. They add value. This is what has happened, not just in HR profession, but in all forms of professions in the country. And so the journey to do RPL, globally, RPL has been there for many years. Over four decades ago, some countries have been implementing recognition of prior learning. Over the last 40 years, they have. For us in Kenya, we started this journey in around 2019, the journey to develop the national policy for recognition of prior learning. It took time to develop because it is a highly multi-sectorial initiative that brings on board most of the actors in the qualification space. And so the policy was launched last year, 22nd of March, by the then Deputy President, 22nd March 2024 last year, formally launched for official implementation. And so as we speak, there is what is going on across the country is efforts to roll out. I am speaking from a workshop of TVET, over 300 principals and academic registrars of TVET institutions in a workshop. And one of the major agendas is the implementation of recognition of prior learning, where the government is focusing on mass implementation. Because as you realize, we have massive skills and knowledge that has been acquired in the informal sector by people running our economy, but they are not recognized. And so these are ready competences, ready knowledge, ready skills that we can harness, document, assign our qualifications, and empower them, mainstream them in our economic initiatives, in academic processes, and also for self-esteem, for mobility of such labor. That's why we are here today. So I want to congratulate HRMPEB. I've been involved in your processes. The documents have been to standard. Those are international documents you have developed, and they are capable of certifying, assessing and certifying all knowledge in that profession, HR profession, just nationally and also internationally. And so this system requires a lot for trust and confidence by employers. It requires that we observe the process as enshrined in the RPL policy. And the key among them are the issues of quality assurance to ensure that the qualifications we certify meet national standards and are of credibility that would allow mobility across the borders. And so as we speak, RPL has become one of the key instruments that the government is using to promote eradication of poverty, creation of equality and fairness within the qualification system, especially for those who have been disadvantaged in a way or marginalized, that they are not able to attain formal education despite carrying knowledge and competences that were acquired out of the school system. And so this is why we have this instrument. And this instrument is in line with the ILO's recommendation number 2004 of 2015 that focuses on identifying those competences that have no qualifications, awarding them qualifications to give credence and value to the holders. And so as we speak, we are now beyond even the doubt. Initially, when we started, there was a lot of perception, negative perception. Now it has become a matter of how much have you done in RPL? And institutions are being now compelled and even given targets on the number of people they will identify and assess and award qualifications. Because as you realize...
Mr. Maindi, sorry for interruption. Hello, Mr. Maindi, you can hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sorry for interruption. I was telling you that because we are moving the slides, but we cannot see where you are, kindly you can tell us when to move and what time to move so that our so that the people who are in the meeting can also follow. Which slide are you kindly? You can tell
Okay,
us, move to the next slide so that it is easy.
Thank you. I was just giving an overview without following the slides. Maybe the stakeholders can be shared. These slides can be shared with the stakeholders
To the stakeholder.
later on.
Okay,
because
thank you.
I thought that the
Thank
time
you.
is so little, the limited time to go by slides. So I've just given an overview. And
Yes.
probably now from where you are, can we just go to the next slide? I pick key issues that may be stand out. Let's move to the next. What is RPL? We are no longer defining RPL. We are at the stage of implementation.
Here. Is
Next,
that okay?
next. Yes, yes. Okay, there probably that graphics tells us that we have so much knowledge that we don't know. It is invisible. It is not known. It's undocumented. So RPL is the tool for making such knowledge visible. By identifying, assessing, and awarding qualification, we are making the invisible knowledge, especially now in this case, the HR sector. We have people who have learned a lot in the workplace, but it doesn't reflect anywhere. So it's through RPL that we are able to make it visible and then allow them to fly. It's like a fly from informality to formality. The moment you are identified and assessed, then you enter formal economy, formal education and training because of RPL, and that's why we're there. Then why RPL matters is that because it's able to validate knowledge and skills we have. It is a mechanism of innovation. Some of the latest innovations in every sector, you'll find it through RPL. Whatever people who have learned on the job have the latest skills and competences compared to what we have in our school system, in our curricula. And so that's why it's there. And then RPL also supports lifelong learning. When you are assessed, you can commence and keep learning. You're always learning something every time. Then once you are assessed through RPL, you promote employability, and then you are able to get special recognition. And so in the slide there, you can see RPL has many names and many names, different names, but same meaning and philosophy. So different countries use different names as listed there. You will go through them one by one. In Kenya, what is common is recognition of pride or RPL. Some countries use different names as you have seen there. Next. So then this one, some people think RPL is a competitor. I remember in one of our previous sessions, some participants talked of RPL being a scapegoat for people who are fearing the education system. RPL is just an alternative pathway to attainment of a qualification, especially for somebody who has learned elsewhere. Regardless of where and how you learn, what we focus on, did you acquire any knowledge or competences? Then we assess it. So RPL is not a competitor or what, but it's a complementer of the formal education and training system. It is not about curriculum. It's just focusing on the knowledge one has already learned. Then you assess it and assign it a qualification. Next. So RPL has very many stakeholders. You can see from the industry, that is the professional bodies, where you get the occupational standards that will inform the assessment. We have assessment centers. We have qualification awarding institutions like HRMPEB is a qualification awarding institution. And wherever they assess their qualifications from is the assessment center. This assessment center for RPL could be even be industry or workplace. Then we also have regulatory bodies that set standards and assure quality of the RPL process, like Tibet Authority, which is I think represented here. We have KenQA, Kenya National Qualification Authority. then the ministry that sets policies and the respective line ministries for issues of policy and oversight. Then professional bodies also play a critical role here, that like HRM is IRM is the professional body for the HR sector. It's critical in the implementation of RPL. Next. Roles and responsibilities you'll see when you talk of the ministries at ministry level, they deal with policy direction, then oversight, the overall implementation. So the RPL, the national policy is at the Ministry of Education State Department for TVET. But any implementing institution, regardless of the ministry now, implements the same policy. Then we have KNQA, the lead implementing institution that sets now oversees the RPL process. It established the system and oversees its implementation. And finally, critically, is to develop a database of any qualification that shall be awarded through RPL. It's registered in the national database. Then TVET authority is one of the regulatory bodies for the TVET sector. Other bodies are NITA, basic education, DICAS for basic education, and then we have the Commission for University, CUE, for the university sector. QAIs are the qualification award institutions where HRMPEB falls. It's a qualification. It has the legal mandate to develop, assess, assign, and award qualifications with their copyrights. That's why other roles involve the industry players that do their work and other practitioners. We have the RPL practitioners from the assessors to verifiers. They are also key implementers of the policy. So we know when you want to implement RPL, there is a procedure you will follow. This one will be taken through by the acting manager exams on what is in the policy, the process of becoming an award institution for RPL and the process of RPL itself. These are issues that are contained in the policy. This one I've talked about, the category of practitioners involved there. Then the qualities of a good practitioner. These are details which are in the RPL policy. I think if you have read the policy, you're going to or you have met all these. I'll not go through them again. Next slide. I think this is this one. Lorraine is for the next speaker. This should be for the next speaker when they present the details of the policy.
Okay, Mr. Maindi, I'm not sure whether you finished.
Yeah, I was just saying these are the details. I'll not go into this. These are details that are in the policy documents, the manual, practitioner manuals. We don't need to discuss them here. Those are specific details that are in the manuals. I don't need to go through them. Just, I think for me, that is all I would submit up to this moment and allow members to ask if there is any question or clarifications. I give it back to you, manage it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Maindi. That is the RPL Delivery Division Unit Director, and we appreciate the overview on RPL. So, and I appreciate everyone who has joined. We are almost at 150 participants. So, Mr. Maindi, we will be requesting you to just stay put and help answer some of the questions that stakeholders have. At this point, I want to introduce our Principal Examination Administration Officer, Mr. Leonard Kiragu, who will take us through, Dr. Leonard Kiragu, sorry, who will take us through the policies. Mr. Maindi, yes?
What would you kindly, probably if there is any question touching on what I've done, because I'm in the next 5 minutes, I'll be entering into the other meeting, still on RPL again, here, wherever I am.
Okay. That is well guided, Mr. Maindi. Kindly, if you have any question for Mr. Maindi on the overview of RPL and what he has talked about, you can just raise your hand. And Mr. Maindi, you have one on the chat. Okay, Mr. Maindi, one on the chat is reading.
Yes.
I don't know whether you can see the one on the chat and you can be able to answer it.
Yeah, I can see. Will IHRM qualify and issue membership and practicing certificates without a degree or CHRP? How does this help those who have invested in academics and some still ongoing? Is this a good thing for everyone or for some specific group? Yeah, that's a good, very, very good question. And it brings us to the type of qualifications we award through RPL. Do they measure are they the same as the qualifications we award through the formal system? The answer is yes. And that's why for you to award a qualification, you must have the legal mandate to do so. And that's why like HRMPEB has the mandate to award through the formal system and through the RPL system. And the qualifications that are awarded are also aligned. RPL is linked to the national qualification system, which means RPL has been integrated in the qualifications ecosystem. And so the qualifications that are awarded are carrying the same meaning. They are at parity of value and credence as the qualifications awarded through the formal system. So the only difference is the mode of learning. While one went through a class system, another one acquired the same competences elsewhere, maybe through research, through own efforts, or working in the workplace. And so you may find even such people are more competent than those who sat in class. And so we say once a qualification is awarded through by the relevant institution, it carries the same meaning and value. And so we have been sensitizing even professional bodies and employment bodies, even the Public Service Commission, employers to understand so that they respect and give value, give opportunities to people holding such qualifications. Then, thank you. That's the question. I don't know if there is any other in the chat.
Yes, Mr. Maindi, there's one who's asking about eligibility. I'm Douglas, a graduate from Moi University with Bachelor's of Agriculture, Economics, and Resource Management. And of course, he's asking, he has practiced for over 7 years, and can he be guided whether he's eligible for RPL?
Yes, another good question once again. Who is eligible? We say anyone could be eligible. You may find all the members in this room could be having knowledge and or competences, skills that have not been recognized and assigned value. They don't reflect in your academic documents. So it means you are eligible for that specific skill or knowledge area, and you qualify to present yourself for assessment by the right bodies, accredited bodies that will be able to look at what you have, check and find out the portfolio of evidence to confirm that you indeed hold these competences. Then they'll assign it a level that is in line and you are given. You can even qualify for a partial qualification if your specialty was in specific units of competences. So you will be assessed and issued with a partial qualification for the specific area you have specialized in. We are even moving lower to break them into smaller units of competencies called the micro credentials. where you can even attain, if you are to use the formal learning system, you will have less than 5 notional hours or 2.5, meaning you can study that area within 1 month and you are assessed and awarded qualifications. So RPL has a very big scope. It just focuses on anyone who thinks that they hold knowledge, they hold competences that are not recognized. So you come out and get recognition. You could be in the informal sector, you could even be in the formal system, but you went on to learn, acquire some new knowledge that you think it's not. Instead of you going back to school to learn, you walk into an assessment center, present yourself, and you are assessed. We have been having a misconception where people think RPL is for those who are not learned or didn't go to school. It is for all. Even a professor, a retiree who ventured into a new area and does not need to go back to school for the same knowledge you are holding. You simply present yourself for assessment and you are awarded a qualification. So my brother there, 7 years is a rich experience. We say even a minimum like 3 years experience is sufficient for you to showcase that I hold these competences, I can perform the tasks, and I can be assessed against the occupational standards of that respective industry. Thank you. Any other question again? I may not have seen.
There's one, Nicholas Odigo, kindly you can unmute and ask a question.
Lauren, thank you for giving me this opportunity to at least present my concerns to Mr. Maindi. I happen to be in I'm practicing and I'm purely practiced in the private sector. And based on what Mr. Maindi has just explained, then I think there are a lot of challenges in the private sector that needs to be addressed as concerns to HR profession, particularly when it comes to issues to do with compliance. I would like to understand, because I understand how NITA works. There's a specific grading system through which maybe if someone is assessed on at a particular level, they are given a certain grade, of which after they have a feeling maybe they want to upgrade also, there's another specific grade that they get tested and they get approved, and a certificate is issued on that. What are the plans in place to ensure that that is done when relating to HR profession? I've had a few of challenges when it comes to practicing, particularly in the private sector. And I'm afraid that this thing could put the way this thing has been explained, then there's more likely those people those professionals in the private sector, they are likely to be put at a disadvantage. So which strategy you gonna come up with to ensure that there are no chances, or there are minimum chances through which maybe someone would likely be put to a disadvantage? I've been in the industry, the private sector, and I've seen people practicing. Someone who has never been even in a HR class, maybe to be in a position to get what even the definition of maybe the whole profession, what it entails and all that. And these are kinds of people who cannot be in a position like even to be in a position to execute something when it comes to legal compliance, just simple and way of executing or carrying out a redundancy process in the organization. So I fail to understand if such a kind of person will be certified the same as someone who has been in class, acquired the competencies. Then there's a very big gap, and I'm afraid that this thing will likely be in a position to face a lot of opposition, exactly from players from the private sector. Because as it looks to me, this thing could be in a position to be structured well for players or the professionals in the public sector. So what are the remedies in place to ensure that there's a proper guidance on how the rollout will be done, specifically in the private sector? Thank you.
Thank you very much, and that's a very valid question. Good question. You know, one of the challenges facing implementation of RPL is the issue of perception, cultural perception, the fear of the non-existent, fear of the unknown. So, Nicholas, what I would say, can you say, fear not, because it has worked elsewhere. We have many success stories in developed countries. In all the systems of education and training, RPL has worked very well. And that's why we have a policy in place to give you a specialized approach to this person. You realize this is a person who learned in their own respective context, not a classroom context. So the way you examine to identify the competencies will be unique to the way this person learned. It's normally called a candidate-centered type of assessment. Take, for example, somebody who was put in a payroll, we call them payroll experts, payroll development, payroll. He works on payrolls every day, every now and then. It develops, and they become an expert. I have seen it in organization. Payroll, I don't know, there's a term used in HR. This is just can be an example of a person who learns on the job and becomes a very good expert in that area. So when you are assessing, you will assess him or her based on what they can do, how they can perform that job, not how you imagine that the system requires. Because here you are checking the competencies. You can even assign such a person practical examination on that, based on what they are there. If it's duly written, they will write it down. If not, you can use oral panel discussions and interviews to confirm whether the person has the necessary knowledge or not. You can also issue them practical assessment to confirm. So it's actually not a risk that you will pass somebody who doesn't have. So this person is either competent or not. Pick any profession, any skill area, knowledge area in HR profession, and you are the expert. You are told assess this person. You look at the assessment tool you have developed that will confirm whether the person holds those competencies or not. And so, as you are assessing, you also have regulatory bodies ensuring that the process follows the standards. They're quality assuring your assessment process so that nothing goes wrong. So what we are saying is RPL is not a standalone system. It has been embedded in our quality assurance process to ensure that the outcomes of the assessment process meet the same learning outcomes that are in the formal system. That's where we ensure. And some people think RPL are pre-qualification. They are not. If you look through how the system has been tailored, if you don't have that knowledge, they will discover you. It will become evident when you are given those assignments. So you don't qualify to get award for qualification and enter into the labor market to embarrass anybody. And so as we look at the system, it's also wise that we look at some of the global best practices, especially in Europe. This is so much advanced that RPL qualifications are awarded even up to master's level, where people take more than like 18 months to attain that, because it's a matter of going to do your research. It's like research paper finding, you do it, come back, and people confirm that you have attained those competencies. So there is no need to fear. What we need to do is just understand how the process works, how the system, RPL system and structures within HRMPEB is tailored. You will find the same lecturers in HRMPEB who do the formal are the ones who will be trained to be practitioners to identify the same competencies. And they can easily tell when looking and discussing with the person, they say, no, this one is not competent. So they are referred back. Either you are sent back to your learning context to continue learning. They will tell you these are your skill gaps. This is what makes you not qualify for award to this qualification. And maybe one thing to note is that RPL is tailored mostly in fact majorly for micro credentials or party qualifications, because people tend to specialize in specific areas, in units of competence. So you simply assess the units of competence this person is good in, and award a party qualification or micro that spells what they have done. So for me, it's just to encourage you to continue. And I'm sure even when HRMPEB will do the first pilot, first assessment, you will appreciate that the products of this are quite current. Some of them are practicing in the HR profession. They have the current knowledge in the HR because they are in the field, compared to somebody who is in class going through the curricula. And for your information, RPL has been identified as the instrument to formalize the informal sector. So pick the HR informal sector. Pick people who have grown through the system. Some of them are the best. Some of the current innovations in HR matters are with the private, the informal sector. They work, they innovate every day compared to somebody who went through school. So RPL has been identified as an instrument of formalizing the informal sector so that you are able to improve their employability, mobility, self-esteem. Somebody who is very good in HR but doesn't have a paper, and this is somebody now, suppose you assess and issue a qualification, their self-esteem goes up, employability rockets up, even mobility across countries, borders also enhances. Access to opportunities, maybe consultants opportunities, employment also grows up just because of that qualification you have been awarded. Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You, Laurie.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stanley Maindi, for that presentation, for those questions you've answered correctly. Asante, we will let you go, but you can still remain in the meeting just in case. But Daktari, so Dr. Leonard Kiragu, kindly, you can start presenting. You have 10 minutes. You have 10 minutes to present,
Yes,
Dr. Kiragu.
Good morning, all.
Mr. Maindi, I hope you can see on the chat some of the comments on your presentation. They are saying that it was a good presentation, excellent points. This makes a lot of sense when you explain it. So, asante sana, Mr. Maindi. Daktari, you can take over.
So, good morning, all protocols observed. I would kindly request Lauren to enable me share the screen so that I can start my presentation. So I hope you can see the screen. You can see my screen?
Yes, we can, Daktari. So
thank
you can go on.
Thank you. I'm going to take very few minutes. We are Human Resource Management Professional Examination Board, and we are a public state corporation registered with the Ministry of Public Service. And we are mandated by the government to develop curricula, examine and certify HR professionals. And we are accredited by the Kenya National Qualification Authority as a qualification awarding authority. Now we have two categories of programs that we offer. We offer the professional course, which is the CHRP. And in addition, we offer competency-based craft certificate course and diploma courses. That was just an introduction of what HRMPEB is and what we do. Now, matters RPL, the board is in its final stage of rolling out the RPL. And I think we are doing public participation. Then after public participation, we are going to do training for the RPL practitioners. Then after that, we are going to roll out the program. Now, the board has prepared 3 important documents that will guide it in the implementation of the RPL. And these 3 important documents are, number 1, the RPL policy. Then number 2, the implementation guideline. And number 3, the practitioner's training manual. And I'm going to go through these 3 in a very brief way, starting with the RPL policy. Now, the RPL policy is simply a guideline that stipulates on the legal framework on which RPL is anchored. And RPL is anchored, number 1, in the Constitution of Kenya, in the KNQA Act Cap 214, in the HR Management Professional Act Cap 538. It is also anchored in the recognition of prior learning policy in Kenya, then the recommendation on human resource development education, training, and lifelong learning, and the Kenya Vision 2030. Then in addition, it is also anchored in the Kenya Credit Accumulation and Transfer Act of 2021, the East African Policy Framework on Recognition of Prior Learning, the Guidelines to Implementation of Recognition of Prior Learning in East Africa 2022. And the RPL policy, in summary, covers the following areas: the institutional and governance structure of RPL, that is in line with the national agenda. And then number 2, where we'll have the institutional governance structures aligned with the national development goals. And then RPL will also be rolled out in collaboration with employers and the industry. Then it will also involve raising awareness. Like now in the public participation, we are raising awareness. Then before we roll out, we are going to again engage in a lot of public awareness creation. Then number E, it is also based on the quality assurance mechanism to ensure that only the candidates who qualify to be admitted to CHRP or other programs that we have meet the threshold. Then RPL will be incorporated in the existing HRMPEB examination and certification system. And then after that, we are going to build capacity for the RPL practitioners. Now, the RPL practitioners include all those people who will be taking part in the RPL, to include the assessors, the verifiers, the RPL coordinators, and the rest. Now, that is the RPL policy. I want to jump over to the next one, which is the implementation guideline, guideline. And the implementation of RPL consists of the following 13 steps: the initial information and guidance and decision to apply. And allow me to stress on number one, that if you are seeking your qualifications to be recognized through RPL, then we are going to subject you to number one, which is the initial information and the guidance on RPL, so that now the decision to apply will be made. And I want to share something that will be guiding us in this. I hope the screen has changed. Kindly confirm that the screen has changed. What I was sharing, I've changed it. Kindly confirm. Madam Maseka? Very good. Now, there are a lot of questions. One of the questions is, will RPL dilute the other programs? Will this RPL have the same weight with the existing programs like the CHRP? The person who has gotten the CHRP through recognition of prior learning, will he have the same weight with someone who went to class to get the CHRP? The answer is yes. And I want to prove why it is so. In the initial stage, where the candidate will be guided and counseled on the RPL process, we are going to use this form, Appendix 11A, which is the guide for collecting evidence. We will, in RPL, I must say, there is no shortcut. And actually, RPL is even more rigorous than the normal CHRP program that is going to class. What we will do is, we will start with the first unit of the revised curriculum, which is the human resource management. Then we look at the summary of the learning outcome. This is what our curriculum says in this column of summary of learning outcomes. Then it is now up to the candidate to bring to us the following supporting evidence or the proof that indeed he has covered these units. And some of the evidences may include the academic certificate that this candidate has previously acquired, and also the transcript that this candidate has acquired. It will also include appointment letters where this candidate is working or has ever worked, reference letters from employers, samples of work done, videos, the candidate can present workshops attended, like the IHRM workshops, and the CD points, all these. Now, the RPL practitioners, which is a group of verifiers and assessors in the evaluation stage, are going to sit down and look at topic 1, or rather unit 1. Is there enough evidence that is supporting that the candidate actually has covered human resource management as topic 1, or rather unit 1? Then, if the candidate has met this, then we will proceed, or the practitioners will proceed to unit 2, which is business law, then accounting and financial management, and all the 19 units of CHRP. So there's no any shortcut. Then we had said in another forum that if there is a deficit, then this candidate may be referred to one of the partnering institution to go and bridge this skill gap. Yes, that is what I wanted to insist in step 1. Then step 2, there will be the administrative registration of the individual applicant by the RPL practitioner. So number 1, after the candidate has been guided and found to be fit to continue with the program, then the candidate will be registered officially. Then the candidate will also be pre-screened by the RPL practitioners. You know, now pre-screening will mean that whatever the candidate had been guided to present in the first step of initial information, now the candidate will be given a chance to bring this portfolio of evidence, which will be pre-screened. Now, at stage 3, a decision will be made, again, whether the candidate proceeds or not. If the candidate is found eligible, then we'll move to step 4, which is preparation of the applicant for the final assessment, where the candidate will be advised now to put his documents in order. Then it will move to step 5, which is assessment of the applicant by the assessment panel, or these are what we are calling the RPL assessors. Then after that, we'll move to step 6, which is the review of the assessment reports by the RPL reviewers. The assessment of RPL will take place in 2 ways. First of all, those documents will be looked at by the assessors. Then, whatever the assessors has done will be reviewed by the verifiers in step 6. Then, after this has been done, the candidate will move on to step 7, which is the validation of the learning outcome and recommendation for the award of a qualification by the quality assurance committee of the board. Then, number 8, these recommendations will also be reviewed by the RPL management committee. And once the management committee is satisfied that the candidate actually qualifies for the award of CHRP by RPL, it will move on to number 9, which is the approval of the assessment results by the board for certification, or it is at number 9 where now the board, HRMPEB board, will approve the certification. Then after that, in number 10, the outcome of the assessment will be communicated to the applicant. And after the assessment has been communicated, the candidate can appeal if not satisfied with the assessment. Then, if the candidate has gone through smoothly without the need of appeal, then, and the board has recommended that indeed this candidate is qualified for award of CHRP through RPL, then, and has recommended for the certification, then these documents will be forwarded to the Kenya National Qualification Authority, or KNQA, so that for documentation. So you can see through these various steps that the RPL process is thorough and there is no shortcut. Now, I look at the last document in a few minutes, which is the training manual. Now, the training manual basically looks at how RPL practitioners will be inducted through training in the RPL program. Now, the manual outlines RPL practitioners to consist the following: the counselors, the assessors, the verifiers, and the managers. Now, the counselors are the ones who will have the initial interaction with the potential candidate for RPL. And the counselor is the one that will take through the candidate through the process to guide him or her on what is required of the program. Then once the counselor sees that the candidate is meets the threshold for RPL recognition, then they will advise the candidate to submit the documents officially to HRMPEB for assessment. Now it will move on to number 2, RPL assessors. These are the people now who will assess the candidate topic by topic for the 19 units. Then after this is done, the documents will move on to the verifiers. Now, the verifiers simply are overseeing the work of the assessors. Then the training manual gives the minimum qualification for one to be an RPL practitioner. Yes, for the assessors, the verifiers, the managers, and the counselors, number 1, they must be in the HR space. They must have practiced as HR managers or officers. They must be properly registered by the IHRM. They must also have the academic background so that now they understand, number 1, what does our curriculum says? Then number 2, they must have now the experience. That is why we are saying that they are very experienced people in the HR space, and they must also be in good standing with the IHRM. Then finally, the manual also inducts the RPL practitioner on the various assessment methods. These RPL practitioners will be taken through what is expected in the entire process of RPL, especially the guideline on the POE collection and the legal framework on which the RPL is anchored. Then finally, the training manual stipulates the general skills required of an RPL practitioner, such as he must have the communication skills, the listening skills, the counseling skills, etc. Then, as I wind up, I will say, as we said in the first, in the second stakeholders engagement, that POE, or rather there are many ways of assessing the candidate for RPL. One of it is the POE, or portfolio of evidence. Then there are also methods of assessing, such as written examination. There is a workplace demonstration. There are simulations. There are open discussions. There is interviews, etc. Now, it is up to the RPL counselor, practitioners, the assessors, especially the assessors and the verifiers, to make a decision on which is the most appropriate method of assessing these candidates. Remember, when you are a candidate for RPL, then you must convince the assessors and the verifiers that actually you have these skills, you have these competencies that now you can use for the RPL. You must convince them that you have skills from Unit 1 to Unit 19. Otherwise, thank you so much, and over to you, the moderator, Madam Lauren Aseka.
Asante sana, Dr. Leonard Kiragu, for your presentation. And Dr. Kiragu has touched on the RPL policy, the guideline for implementing RPL, and the RPL training manual. Those are the 3 documents that will help us implement RPL at HRMPEB. So asante sana, Daktari. So to our next item on the program, it's the plenary session. But before that, I'd love to give Dr. Wekesa, who is our coordinator at HRMPEB for RPL and also works at KNQA, which is our regulator for CHRP and other programs. So Dr. Wekesa, kindly, your remarks are welcome. Then I've seen most of our stakeholders are asking questions on the chat. Let's continue asking questions on the chat. And if you have any question on the presentations that have been done today, you can also raise up your hand. If you have any questions, you can raise up your hand. Dr. Wekesa, if you're in the room, you can have a few minutes for some remarks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Confirm if you hear me.
Yes, Dr. Wekesa, and just before you go on, we've had almost 160 people join this meeting. So it has been well attended with many practitioners who are interested in RPL. Asante and karibu.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so very much for the opportunity, and congratulations for organizing this well-attended meeting. Actually, it shows and reveals to you that people out there have a lot of interest and they want to understand much more about RPL, especially they want to understand the how. So I want to appreciate you people, the HRMPEB, for keeping consistent. You have consistently maintained the process of institutionalizing RPL at the Human Resource Management body, so that when you commence the actual assessment, the credibility of qualification is your focus and nothing short of that. Where I sit, our attention is paid to the quality of qualifications awarded. And as a qualification awarding institution, I want to commend you the way you have followed the procedure of putting in place relevant instruments that will help you to effectively and efficiently implement the recognition of prior learning approach. This is not a shortcut, as well said by the previous presenter, Daktari. This is another approach to assess. It's a specialized process, very rigorous. And just as you have outlined in your slides, and I request that perhaps you'll share your screen. I have an interest in slide number 6. Daktari, if you can just share slide number 6.
Okay, sharing
I'll
shortly.
Yes.
Madam Lorraine, enable me to share.
Yeah, you share your screen slide number 6. That you just done a presentation. They want to see slide number 6.
That one?
Yes. The previous one?
That one.
Okay, fine. Now, this is about guidelines on RPL implementation. This is very key. And the steps have been clearly outlined. What I will also want to come out here strongly is how you have mapped out what we want to refer to as HRMPEB master trainers. The people with the capacity, those who are going to train the other trainers, because so far you have put in place very good instruments. And I know participants here are keen to understand how are you going to convert those professionals? HRMPEB, you have very well qualified people, but these people must be given that competence to assess through RPL. So you need to map out and have a pool of practitioners that you have well capacity build, and that will speak to credibility of the qualifications that we are going to award. You mentioned in those guidelines, you mentioned about how they are going to assess the POE. Then we need to speak to authenticity of the evidence, so that the practitioners have the capacity to assess the authenticity of the evidence provided against each learning outcome, so that there's no inconsistency in assessing a given learning outcome vis-a-vis the provided evidence, that this candidate has given evidence that perhaps are insufficient. The other candidate has provided files of evidence. Now, how are we assessing these people? If the assessors don't have the capacity to judge the authenticity, validity, sufficient, no, those must be emphasized. I like the document the way it has come out, but then we have a task as a team to plan on how to train master trainers, that HRMPEB must have master trainers who are well equipped, and the process will be transparent. The process will be uniform and well assured. So this team that you are putting here, counselors, assessors, verifiers, managers, all this team must be well capacity built through a rigorous training process. Now, I like the instruments that you have put in place, and you are also involving stakeholders who are here. That is the way to go, and that increases acceptability, and of course, buy-in. So I will urge again that as we do the plan for the training, let us have a simulation, okay? You can invite these stakeholders just to do the simulation kind of a pilot, see if these tools are working well. Let's see how the assessors are going to assess, because I saw when we were assessing previously, you could see that there's a lot of theory, but when we want it to be done practically, at times the assessors had gaps. They could not make proper judgment because somebody is giving you certificates, giving you evidences. Some of them are just from download from online. Perhaps somebody has just changed the name. We need to have that capacity whereby we're able to confirm that really what you are sharing reflects your competence. So those are the areas that you need to address more repeatedly. You make consultation with the State Department of TVET, KNQA, and also TVETA, so that we support this noble course to the end. Sorry, I have not gone through the documents because I think I received this on a short notice. I've been in another meeting here in Naivasha, but because I love RPL, and so a good friend of the HRMPEB, I chose to join this meeting and also give my input. I'll look through the document in the course of the day and submit my feedback, if any, but so far, so good. We will support you when you need our input, you need our guidance, you need our support in the training and any other process. We will be available to support you. I'll remain in the meeting for a short while to respond to any questions, perhaps those that are touching on assessment, those that are touching on levels of assessment, and then perhaps any other that relates to RPL, because qualifications that will be awarded in this process will be registered in the KNQF qualification database. That qualification will not be, will not have anything anywhere called RPL, but this is going to be a qualification awarded like other qualifications. And also perhaps a question that may come, somebody may ask, rather maybe I can ask myself. You know, HRMPEB, this is a professional body. These are professional qualification. And you keep professional qualifications leading to either to be registered as a professional, that is membership. And then you can also perhaps continue with the career at professional training for that matter. So perhaps you can make it very clear so that people get to understand. I know there are those who have sat in class and then they are now CHRP. Then there are those who, through this process, they'll also be awarded a similar qualification. So the rigorous part of it should be clearly done so that we don't have the issues from those who are already registered saying that, you see now, we went through this process, different pathway, and you are going through a different pathway. You are all perhaps members of this professional organization. We don't want to have a barrier that this is a different group joining us. This is to this group that went through this pathway. What I'm trying to say is that ensure there is harmony in this process, because at the end you'll have a basket called a professional basket, a basket having all people in one basket, but not within that basket we are saying these are through RPL, these are not through RPL. So please ensure that you bring on board those professional people to be part of the assessors themselves, you know, so that they also agree that, yes, what we are assessing resonates very well with the requirements of the professional body. And that will be good. So I don't want to take a lot of time, but thank you so much for that. I will respond to a few questions, if any, if I exit. Asante.
Asante sana, Daktari, for taking us through all those comments on our policies. So we are on the plenary session. Anyone who has a question, kindly, you can unmute and ask. Also, you can just raise your hands. Also, we have shared the slides which were presented by Mr. Stanley Maindi. So you can download the slides. They are on the chat. Irene, unmute and speak.
Thank you, HRMPEB team. Mine is just one question to ask. Maybe I have missed this information. What is the place of the training or learning institutions in this RPL from where you sit?
Thank you, Irene. We've taken that question. Dr. Kiragu, Dr. Peter Wekesa, and our CEO, CHRP Margaret Ngu, will be helping with answering these RPL questions. So any other stakeholder who has a question? Also, there are questions on the chat. One is asking, thank you for your presentation, Dr. Kiragu. Is there a standard for evaluating a portfolio of evidence to determine when it is sufficient to recognize RPL competency based on learning outcomes or occupational standard, especially considering that while POEs should be current, RPL recognizes competencies regardless of when they were acquired. So how are academic certificates and references older than 5 years, how will they be treated? Dr. Kiragu, you will take that question. And also a question from Alexander. How objective will the process of evaluation be before certification be? That one will be taken by our CEO. And a question from Alex, who says, if someone is a continuing student, can they opt for RPL? That will be answered by Dr. Kiragu. I had seen someone, Josephine, you had raised your hand up. Anyone with a question, kindly, you can raise your hand up. Dr. Kiragu, you can answer some of the questions.
Thank you very much, Madam Lorraine. And I will start with Madam Irene's concern on the praise for training institutions on matters RPL. And I will say that when we come to recognition of prior learning, we are not teaching. Our mandate is very clear that we set the curriculum, or we develop the curriculum, we examine, and then we award or we certify the professionals. Now, the training institution's mandate is to train our curriculum. But now when we come to RPL, we are not training. What we are doing is we are evaluating, we are examining the skills, the competencies, area acquired, and we are evaluating them against the standards. The standard is the curriculum, and our work is just to judge whether these skills meet the standard so that our curriculum can be examined. And then I say that if there is any training gap that will be identified, then HRMPEB will refer the candidate to our collaborating institutions for that skill gap training. So soon, the board is going to pre-qualify the institutions that this candidate with the training gaps can be referred to. So it's the board now to decide which training, or rather which institutions are these. Then I answer the question on the relevance of academic certificate. Those academic certificates that were awarded, which are more than 5 years old. And I would say there are those criteria that Dr. Wekesa has mentioned about the currency, the authenticity, the validity, and the sufficiency of the POE. And I will say that even when we come to exemption in the normal program, in the normal CHRP program, we can exempt the candidate up to 9 units. When we are exempting, we don't look at the time when this academic certificate was acquired, but we look at, number one, is it authentic? Is it from this institution? You know, is it sufficient? Is it meeting what the board stipulates? So when it comes to academic qualifications, we not look at when they were acquired. And then there was also an issue of the authenticity of these papers of this POE that the candidate will present. Then I would answer and say that we are going to write emails to the institution that the candidate is purporting that he's working in, so that we know if this candidate has presented a document showing that he has worked in this and this organization, we will be free to call this institution. Just like when you present your CHRP a certificate to your employer, and the employer wants to know the authenticity of that document, they will normally write emails to us and we authenticate. It is the same thing that we are going to use. Then I think maybe someone else can handle some other question. So over to you, our moderator, Madam Lorraine. Unless there is any other question I need to ask to answer.
Yes, Dr. Peter, you can
yes, Madam Lorraine,
chip in.
Sorry, thank you, Daktari, for the response. And the question asked by Madam Irene is valid. A place of training institution. Just to add on what Dr. has said, is that the curriculum is used for training in this training institution for learners to acquire competences, skills, and knowledge. But the occupation standard will be used to develop assessment tools to assess skills previously acquired. And the assessment will be done in the accredited training institutions. HRMPEB will accredit the training institutions or to become assessment centers. So just as Dr. has mentioned, to add on is that those training institutions will be used as assessment centers. Yeah, thank you. And then about the standard for evaluating POE, this is a very valid concern. And that's why I was talking about credibility of qualification. And that's why I was trying to raise, if we compromise this standard, if we compromise, then we are going to create a division among professionals, HRM professionals. So we must be very firm on how to ensure standard. A participant talked about objective. We must be objective to ensure that we are not compromising on standard, and how we must invest in training. We must invest in quality assurance process so that the training of all those who are going to assess, we must have enough capacity, enough people who are going to assess. One applicant being assessed by how many? We must comply with the national policy that yes, we are going to assess so and so at this level, and here are the assessors who have the relevant credentials as mentioned in the implementation guideline. So that once we have very competent people, well-trained, and they are enough, following a structured process, we will not have an issue with the standard for evaluating. All these professionals, the employers will accept that yes, people went through a credible process. The issue is the standard, and I like that question. So HRMPEB CEO and the management invest in building the capacity of RPL practitioners so that they are going to effectively and efficiently implement the policy framework, and we will achieve this. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Asante Daktari for those remarks. And we have on the chat, we have attached the guidelines, the policy, and the practitioner manual. We have also attached the corporate communications email, where if you have any feedback, any input, or all the views that you have, just you can put them on the email for us to see. We have a comment from Ruth who says RPL is a very good system. However, our fear is transparency in assessment. I hope measures will be put across to curb bias. We have experts without papers training new employees who end up earning more than the job trainers after acquiring knowledge. This will create a proper ground for knowledge sharing. Also, we appreciate your questions, and I'll give our CEO, CHRP Margaret Ngu, to just answer some of the questions or to give a closing remark. And also, before she comes on, we will be having a focus group, a simulation exercise, and a validation exercise. Probably we will be able to communicate about it. We will be able to communicate about it going, we will be able to communicate everything about the focus group discussion on your emails. So you can share your emails with us on the group chat now if you're interested in coming for the focus group discussions, which will be physical at our offices. So kindly share your emails on the chat so that we can pick them and we can be able to invite you for the focus group discussions. And Bradley, you can pick all the emails that I see on the chat. Thank you so much. So CEO CHRP Margaret Ngu, you're welcome.
Thank you, Lorraine. I once again want to thank all of you, and I want to say this: we are a credible qualifications awarding institution mandated by the government to do HR curricula, examine and certify HR professionals. RPL is just another approach, like Mr. Maindi put it, and it's more of a method of assessment. So I want to assure the HR professionals here that we are not just going to award, and we are not just going to give CHRP such that if you have 5 years experience, you come, we give you a CHRP. If you have 10 years experience, you come, we give you a CHRP. No, we have our outcomes. You see our 18 units, they're 19, our 19 units, we have outcomes on the competency requirements. Level 1, we have the competency requirement for that, what we expect our professionals to be able to do. Level 2, the same. Level 3, the same. And the outcomes is what we are using to develop our assessment tools. And therefore, our assessment tools will be foolproof to ensure that there is transparency, accountability, and credibility. And so, professionals, you should not fear anything. We are assuring you that this method of assessment is just like any other method, and we want to ensure that those who are competent are the ones we certify. And this is my assurance from you, from me. And so there is no fear, do not fear. In fact, it is tougher. I think that the process is much more comprehensive than even going to class and coming for exams. And I want to pose this question to you, professionals. Supposing I got a C+ in Form 4, then I register for CHRP, and within a year, I've done CHRP. Then I go out there, I don't practice HR, I'm just doing other things. Do you think, even in 3 years, do you think I'm still a competent HR? I really doubt. Take a cue on that. Look at, again, the other scenario where maybe I did a bachelor's in something else, but the first opportunity that I got was HR. I went to a company where they value HR, where HR is really does the task that we expect an HR to do. And so through time and experience, they have all the competencies that we require in HR. So does it mean that just because they do not have papers, that they cannot be able to do the HR work well? I again doubt it. And therefore, competence means you must be able to apply the relevant HR knowledge in an organization to deliver on the people function in an organization. And therefore, if we have gone to class and acquired CHRP, let us not fear, and let us not think that RPL is now coming to dilute what we have been doing. It is complementary. It's just another method of assessment, and therefore we have worked on the tools, we are working on the tools, improving our tools, and that's why we called you here, so that you can tell us how to improve. But it's not going to be easy for them to come and just get a CHRP. It's a process. It will be a process, a validated process, scientific process, very transparent, without bias. Mtaskia, let them come for RPL. It's not a threat, but Mtaskia, it's not just walking in and walking out with a CHRP, because we want to ensure and enhance HR competence. Thank you so much. We shall continue engaging with these discussions. Thank you so much and have a good day. Over to you, Asika.
Thank you, CEO, for your remarks. We've come to the end of this public RPL public participation. And as we have said, we want to actually extend sincere gratitude to all our stakeholders who have taken their time to attend and contribute to RPL. And your insights, all the questions you've asked, the feedback we have taken in, and they will help us shape the forward thinking of RPL, and we will be able to incorporate them and do a validation. And as we finish, I've just seen one of the comments from Alexander, who has said that after we've done RPL and after everything has been done, after the certification, the HR community should be able to make HR a profession and practitioners to be treated just like lawyers, who are paid non-practicing allowance, and it's a high time we place our profession higher than our learned friends. That are very good remarks from our stakeholders who are just forward thinking of what they want the profession to look like as we go on. So thank you so much. Well, thank you once again for your active participation. And we will be able to share. I've seen so many people who have shared their emails. We will share with you when we will have the focus group discussions at our place at Mwalimu Towers. And also we want to thank our regulators who are here, KNQA represented by Dr. Peter Wekesa, also Mr. Maindi, who was here, who is also in the Ministry of Education under the State Department of TVET, who is the Director of RPL Delivery Unit. We want to thank the TVET Authority who have stood by us, all the regulatory bodies who have helped us come up with these instruments. Also for our secretariat, for the sleepless nights, we want to appreciate them. And finally, our stakeholders who are here, and I know many of you have been asking questions on our social media. When are we starting this? When is RPL coming on? It is almost at the tail end. We are finishing with just listening to the stakeholders. We incorporate all the views of stakeholders. We have a public, a focus group discussion and a public validation. Then we start implementing. So we will be able to communicate about our way forward on the implementation of RPL. And for the students or for the candidates who are interested in taking CHRP and all our programs through RPL, we will communicate officially when we will open up the RPL space. So thank you so much. And once again, I want to appreciate everyone who is in this meeting and for the 2 hours you've spent with us. So I want to request one person to pray for us and before we finish the meeting. And if you've not put down your email address, kindly you can go to the chat and you can comment on the chat with your email. And also all the presentations we've done today are on the chat. So you can go to the chat. Also, you can download all the presentations. Asanteni sana. And any final prayer from any person who's closer to God now?
Okay, shall we pray? Our dear Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, we are so grateful for the insight we have been able to receive. We thank you for the discussion. We appreciate you for the wisdom, knowledge, and discernment that you gave unto us. Thank you for the facilitators. Thank you, Lord, for those who planned the program. We appreciate you, my God, that whatever we have been able to learn, we shall be able to implement for the good of the nation. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Ruth, you can pray.
Oh, okay. I was already praying.
Dr. Kiragu.
Madam Lorine, eh? Hello, you can hear me, Lorine?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Luther has made the prayer. Eh? We have already played.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Ruth. I think my network went off for a minute there. Asante sana, Ruth, for praying for us. And we've come to the end of this meeting. So asanteni sana, and you can leave at your own pleasure. If you've not given your email, kindly give your email. And we are still taking feedback through corporate communication and info@HRMPEB. Those emails are on the chat. So kindly you can give us the feedback about the 3 policies we have presented. So asanteni sana, and you can now leave at your own pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.